art is not a question of size. You can have small pieces with huge contents, and you can have big paintings with nothing. It's not a question of dimension. It's a question of what the artist is telling us. And Kiefer is an artist who, I call him an artist who is an archaeological worker. He is looking into the past and into the future at the same time. He's looking for that what's happened in the history, not only in the Third Reich of the Germans, the horrible time of Adolf Hitler, but before. We have this huge painting, the fruchtbare Halbmond. It's a story about the beginning of our culture. A lot of stories in this show, and Grothe's collection is a collection who describes the development of Anselm Kiefer during the last 30 years. And that makes this show exciting, I think. You have a special time where Kiefer paintings is colorful flowers, but also you have this time where his paintings is dark and gray and silent and contemplative. He's not someone who makes portraits or something like this. He is describing his feelings and his relationship to the literature, to the anthropological point of view. That's very important for him. How can we imagine that there is another world outside this world? Is this possible? Or what will happen after our time as human beings in this world? Will we survive in another situation with another energy? All these questions are made by these artists, Anselm Kiefer. He likes to work with spaces, and if you see his studio in Paris, you will not trust your eyes, because it's 36,000, not 3,600, but 36,000 square meters. And when I saw it 4 years ago, I thought, my God, it's unbelievable, this dimension. But now he filled it up with thousands of works, and it became very small, you know. It's a question of dimension, not a question of dimension. It's a question of intensity and of work. It's very typical for his painting to see this thick structure, and it makes you you ask yourself, is it real or is it a painting? Huh? What is reality and what is the art? And it's very typical for Kiefer. He is working very often on paradoxon ways, like you see these books, they're consisting of lead. It's unbelievable paradox because it's a symbol of acknowledgement, it's a symbol of education. But can you take it, can you use it? It's 700 kilos, you cannot use it, but he likes this way to describe paradox situations. He is a master of symbiotic work of painting and objects. If you see the Große Fracht, for instance, you see a plane on the landscape of a painting, and it's an unbelievable masterpiece where he shows us how he works with objects and paintings. There you see the sunflowers. The sunflowers are very important objects in the and images in the works of Anselm because of they died every day and they go up every day. In the evening they change and they go down, and in the morning they come up. And they have a lot of energy. You can survive with these flowers. They have a very important meaning. He also used the viewer, the people who come into his shows or see his works, to collaborate. He brings your fantasy into a new dimension or in a new situation of collaborate with the artist, because the interpretation of that, what you're seeing, is very important for him also. He gives us some ideas, but the development of ideas is a part of the viewers. It's an homage to the creativity. He's not demanding, but he's offering a lot of positions, intellectual positions, historical positions, and he is asking himself, how could it be happen? What people did in the past, and for instance, the horrible history of Second World War in Germany, but also before. He's always, he tries to understand the past, maybe to find answers for the future. If you see his works, you will recognize that there are no human beings in these works. But these landscapes and the things are created by people. And he describes this relationship to, for instance, Ingeborg Bachmann or Paul Celan. He is believing on the creativity and on the power of the human beings. But I'm not sure if he, I cannot say he's a positive thinker. He is a realistic, he is someone who is obviously watching the world in its different horrible and fantastic dimensions. And he gives us a lot of questions. and he doesn't have the answers. So the paintings without human beings, without people, has a lot to do with people and their problems or their situation. What does it mean to have the energy of philosophers or people who are creating in her fantasy a new world, or what does it mean if there is someone like Khlebnikov who is describing the battles, the sea battles after every 316 years? Isn't it a ridiculous position, or it's paradox also? Kiefer is working with all these different positions. I think for me and for Grothe, it was never boring to be together with the art of Kiefer, because you will find always new stories and new relationships. Grothe is a very special character. He starts as a bricklayer, studied engineering, was a property manager and a banker. He earned a lot of money, and he starts, I think, in the 50s collecting artists, but then he decided to sell them, a lot of reasons. But one artist he never could imagine to leave or to separate or to sell, and that was Anselm Kiefer. Grothe, he is always very interesting to come together with him, because he wants to understand what's going on in his head, but he is a fantastic. He is in a fantastic cooperation with Kiefer, because he loves to interpret his paintings. He comes together with the paintings and he tries to find out his own stories. Grothe is still collecting, and he is collecting for him and his family, but also for the public. And these works are determined for the public. And I think that's very important, that this art belongs to the public and to the public spaces. For me, Anselm Kiefer is the most for me personal, but it's my opinion, but for me it's the most interesting artist in the world, because of the intellectual dimension and the political dimension and philosophical dimension comes together in his work, and the deepness of his work is absolutely unique for me. That's the reason why I'm accompanying him since 30 years now, and also Hans Grothe. And I love his work because of it gives me, this work gives me a lot of questions. I have to work about it. And I hope the people will leave the show also with a lot of questions. It's very important to think about questions, and more important to think about questions and find answers than getting answers from someone and everything give you the illusion of being clear. There's nothing clear.